So Josh Hokit, the controversial love child of Colby Covington and Sean Strickland, is looking to be the next best thing coming into the UFC's heavyweight division, and he's got a strong chance of doing it, because if you don't know who Josh Hokit is and why the UFC are pumping him up from just 2 unranked finished wins on the prelims to now fighting number 4 ranked Curtis Blaydes as the feature fight of the main card of UFC 327, in this video you will know all about him and how he matches up against every single top 15 heavyweight to see if he actually can become a champion or if he will be just another failed hype train. And to get that answer, we're going to be using this tier list that you can see on your screen now to break down and analyze every single matchup for Josh Hokit with all the fighters you can see down below to see how he would actually fare. Starting off with the 15th ranked Tai Tuivasa. I'm Australian, and I don't know how the hell this guy is in the rankings, but we have to include him. And then we're going to go all the way through to Tom Aspinall that you can see at the bottom of your screen as the undisputed champion. Now, to figure all of this out, the tier list is divided into 5 tiers. You can see at the top in green, which is the best matchups. They are the best matchups for Josh Hokit to take. He would be a moderate to a heavy favorite in those matchups. Now, for B, which is moderate favorite, this is where Josh Hokit is still going to be the favorite, but it's just going to be a bit more of a tougher matchup. Then C, which is evenly matched, self-explanatory, it's going to be a pick'em fight. And then down at D, which is the tough matchups, that's where he's going to be a slight to a moderate underdog against a lot more experienced fighters mainly, and guys that can expose his weaknesses. Then nightmare matchups at the bottom in red. These are the ones that Josh Hokit really wants to avoid because he's probably going to get finished. And I will say, there's going to be some fighters in there. But to get into it, we're starting off strong for Josh Hokit because we got Tai Tuivasa. I mean, Tai, trying to understand why this guy is in the rankings right now, it just makes heavyweight even more of a shambles. The guy's on like a 1,000,000 fight loss streak. He's almost matching Tony Ferguson. And yeah, he's going to be one of the best matchups for Josh Hokit clearly here. To give a bit of an understanding surrounding Josh Hokit, if you don't know who he is, he's 8-0 in his MMA career. He's very well-rounded, especially for the experience that he has at the moment. He's got a wrestling background. He played football as well in the NFL. So he's got a good ground game. He's got 3 submissions to his name. He's got an arm triangle. He's got an arm bar. He's got a rear naked choke finish as well. And then he's got 5 knockouts as well. So he's very, very fast on the feet. He's a smaller heavyweight though. He weighs around 235 to 245 pounds, which is definitely undersized, and he can even get down to about 220 to 225 pounds while at heavyweight. So he's someone that lacks the overall strength realistically, especially when it comes to clinch-based exchanges, but he has the wrestling to back that up. So he's got the wrestling as a base, he's got pretty decent striking offensively, and then he's got the jiu-jitsu on the ground that he has shown. He's a very aggressive ground-based fighter mainly, and he does have those fast hands, just the fast tools on the feet as well. So that's to give a little bit of a breakdown to start off with, but when it comes to his actual game, we'll get through all of that when it comes to matchup. So Tai Tuivasa, the best matchup for him. Tai, the only thing I can say is that he might be a little bit hard to get down early because he is a bigger guy. Tai basically tips those scales. I mean, he literally came off being like 300 pounds not too long ago. And yeah, he's someone that very much tips the scale. So it's going to be hard in terms of clinch-based exchanges for Josh Hokit to really get a hold of him and just, throw him around. But Josh Hokit has a good freestyle wrestling-based game. So he's good at getting the legs, getting under the hips, and just tipping people off balance. And Tai Tuivasa is a guy that's pretty easy to tip off balance. He's just one of those lugging, blobby heavyweights, and he's going to use that so well against Tai Tuivasa. Tai, with his pure strength, might be able to hold him off for a little bit early, but going later through the fight, Tai's just going to get carved up. Absolutely carved up to bits because his cardio's shit. Josh Hokit's cardio is very, very good, can definitely consistently fight 3 rounds. His output and just his aggressiveness is just going to overwhelm a guy like Tai Tuivasa completely. He will get Tai Tuivasa to the ground, control him, out-transition him easily, and submit him. I think he would just submit him in round one. Like, there's not even a reach disadvantage either, really. Like, Ty's about a 75 to 76-inch reach, and Josh Hokit has a 73.5-inch reach. So, compared to a lot of these other guys, not much of a reach problem there either. So, Tai is just going to get absolutely consumed. Now, moving on to Valter Walker, which is definitely a bit more of an interesting matchup. I'm putting this in evenly matched because Valter Walker is one of those guys that is a standout in terms of his ground game. He's definitely one of the most tricky guys in terms of a pure submission threat, and he could catch Josh Hokit, especially if Josh tries to take him down. But I do think Valter Walker would be just as strong, if not stronger. He's 6'5". He's built for the heavyweight division, whereas Josh Hokit is more built for light heavyweight. So I think he would struggle there, but I do think Josh Hokit, in terms of his overall fluency on the feet, in terms of mixing strikes together, is better than Valter Walker on the feet. And we saw that with Valter Walker against Brychek as well. Like, he just really struggled there when he fought him, and he lost that fight when it was more so standing on the feet. And Valter Walker just has to get a bloody leg lock or, just some form of submission to get him out of there. And that's where I think it's easier said than done because of Josh Hokit's wrestling. But Valter Walker definitely does stand a good chance there. He's got the submission threat. He's got the overall strength advantage. But on the feet overall and in terms of control, that's in Josh Hokit's favor. So it really just depends on where the fight goes. So definitely evenly matched there. Now, 13th ranked Shamil Gaziev, the absolute GOAT daddy himself. Shamil, I'm going to have to go on evenly matched as well. Now, the big thing that we got to take into account here is I'm not being biased in any way, shape, or form just because it's Josh Hokit's video. No chance. I'm actually kind of being more hard on him, to be honest, because a big issue for Josh Hokit compared to literally everyone here except for maybe like Tallison Teixeira is the experience. The experience is lacking overall. Granted, he's got a 100% finish rate. He's looked great through Bellator, through LFA, and now into the UFC with 2 fights in his Dana White's Contender Series fight. He is looking fantastic, but he hasn't faced any notable competition. And that's where any of these guys have fought guys like Josh Hokit before, have had to experience these very tough, dangerous matchups, because basically all of them have had to fight someone in the top 15 already, whereas Josh Hokit has not. Now, Shamil Gaziev is a guy that has a 4.5-inch reach advantage over Josh Hokit, is strong, is sturdy, is a blob, but is sturdy and has very good boxing, especially on that front foot, but Gaziev is very slow. That's the big problem with him, is he's very slow, but he's also simultaneously quite hard to take down. And I think that when it comes to Josh Hokit, he could really struggle, and I think he would lose if he can't get Gaziev to the ground. If he can't, then I think Gaziev wins, but if he can, then Gaziev's going to have a lot of trouble getting off his back, and I think Josh Hokit has the positional awareness to keep Gaziev down, and I think he could honestly submit Gaziev, but if it stays on the feet, I think Gaziev does outbox him. So that's where it is evenly matched there. Mick Parkin, same thing, evenly matched. This guy has a 5.5-inch reach advantage, so even more so than big blob Gaziev. And the thing with Mick Parkin over Gaziev as well that Josh Hokit has to worry about is that Mick is athletic. He is a pretty damn athletic heavyweight, very good kickboxing. And the biggest thing that I like about Mick Parkin, in comparison to literally anyone else in this list, is that Mick does a great job of chopping down the lead leg. And the thing with Josh Hokit is that he has a very wide base, which is great for his penetration step to get the fights to the ground or to utilize a big combination of flurries. Like, that's why he's so good when he's aggressive. But he has eaten leg kicks through the regional scene, even in the UFC, in the matchups that he's had. He's eaten leg kicks and he's had to shake them off. So if you get enough on him, I think Josh Hokit does crumble. So that's where Mick, if he can chop the leg early, I think Josh Hokit is in a world of trouble. And he is more technical than Josh Hokit on the feet. But I do think Mick, being more of a volume-based fighter, Hokit has more power and he is a better wrestler overall. He's better on the ground, has the advantage on the ground completely. So plain and simply, if it gets to the ground, Hokit will be winning the matchup. But if it stays on the feet, I prefer Mick Parkin in the matchup. So it's really just a battle of where it goes. So it's basically dead even. Now, Tallison Teixeira, the other guy that is pretty inexperienced overall, and yes, he's a guy that destroyed Justin Tafa, in like 30 seconds. He's a guy that if he gets on the front foot, extremely dangerous, and I think he could knock Hokit out. But Hokit has very good movement defensively overall, which I've seen pretty well on the regional scene, linear and lateral axis. Like, he's good when he's getting pressed, which is rare, and that's where I think Josh Hokit is going to be able to close the distance more effectively on a guy like Tallison Teixeira, because Tallison is going to be so worried about that takedown, and Hokit, with his takedowns, very, very fast with his snatch singles, good with his double legs as well. He's just good at applying pressure and being aggressive, and that's where Tallison, I just think he gets smothered. I just don't think he can handle the pressure appropriately from Josh Hokit. He has to land a bomb in the clinch. Otherwise, I just don't see him dealing with it well. And that's where I have to put him in the moderate favorite, because he's still faster than a guy like Tai Tuivasa, and he still could knock Josh Hokit out for sure. But I just don't see Tallison dealing with the wrestling at all. And I think he would honestly get taken down to the ground in the first round and probably ground and pounded out, or he would get submitted. So, yeah, pretty plain and simple there, to be honest. Now, moving into the top 10, this is where it's going to get a bit more tricky. Now, Ante Delija. Ante Delija, good boxer. More technical with his boxing. He's got KO power as well. I'd probably say fairly similar to Josh Hokit. But he is a lot slower than Josh Hokit, and Ante Delija has taken a lot of damage recently. He is getting older, and his technique really does break down round after round. We did see that against Sergei Spivac in his last fight. So I do think if Delija gets off the front foot very well, and he completely overwhelms with the boxing, I think he can take Josh Hokit out in the first round. But the longer the fight goes, the more Ante Delija will get broken down, and the more the cardio of Josh Hokit will take over. So I think in combination of taking a lot of damage and still being susceptible to takedown threats, which we saw again with Spivac as well, I think Ante Delija would struggle a bit more. Now, I don't think Hokit would be able to submit Ante Delija. Delia's got an underrated submission-based game, especially defensively. So that's where I think ultimately it's going to be evenly matched, but it's definitely close to that moderate favorite just because of how much he does slow down, and especially with his technical proficiencies, how much that just wanes over round after round after round. And the older he gets, the more of an issue it's going to be. So, yeah, I'm going to put that as evenly matched, but it's definitely close to that moderate favorite. Now, Marcin Tybura, crafty veteran. Good old Marcin, very crafty. He is a tricky striker, uses like weird kind of unorthodox lunging strikes, and he does have a 4.5 reach inch advantage over Josh Hokit as well. But I think most importantly is that Tybura can compete on the ground with Josh Hokit too. But the thing that I don't like, especially now, is just the age problem. Like, Tybura has taken a lot of damage. He's a guy that really on the feet, I don't think can compete with that speed. I think he's going to really struggle against Hokit in the first round. And I would be semi-surprised if he made it out of there. I think Hokit would be someone that wouldn't really even mix up his takedowns there. I think he had someone that would just be blitzing Marcin Tybura. And Tybura is more so good at range, like that boxing-based range. That's where he gets a lot of his good, effective techniques off. But in clinch-based exchanges, I think he does struggle. And that's where I do think it's closer to the evenly matched, but I'm going to put him in the moderate favorite for Josh Hokit in that matchup. Just too slow, man. I just think he's too slow. He's taken a lot of damage. Yes, he can compete on the ground, but if Hokit gets top control, I don't think Tybura's submission-based game is going to be doing much, to be honest. Don't think he gets submitted, but I don't think he's going to be able to do much offensively, realistically. Now, Derrick Lewis. We know with Lewis, he's always got that power equalizer, but we've seen with his history, against anyone that is faster than him or has like a better ground game, he just gets consumed badly. We've seen that against multiple guys. Like we've seen that against Jailton Almeida, especially, he just got controlled for ages in that matchup. And the thing with Josh Hokit over a guy like Jailton Almeida is very much definitely a position over submission based fighter, whereas Josh Hokit is so aggressive in trying to get the finish. Like, he will only transition to try and hunt an advantageous position to get the submission. Like, he won't just transition to just get a better spot to blanket you. He wants to try and take you out. And that's why the UFC loves Josh Hokit so much, and why he's entertaining and why he's getting this opportunity. And with that, I just don't think Derrick Lewis is going to be able to compete on the ground. Like, he has to knock him out in the first round. Otherwise, Hokit, he's going to be able to beat him. I've got to put him in the moderate favorite because the biggest issue there is the speed difference. Like, Hokit's a lot smaller, but if he snatches up a single and tips Derrick Lewis off balance, Derrick Lewis is not getting back up. It's just as simple as that, and the stamina is going to completely overwhelm him. Now, Rizvan Kuniev. Now, I've done a Fighter Spotlight video on him before, a Spotlight and a Fighter Spotlight tier list video. Definitely check those out there just in my channel, but Rizvan Kuniev, I think Josh Hokit is going to struggle with this guy a lot, to be honest, and a lot to the point where I think Kuniev's a nightmare matchup for him, because Hokit, being around that 225 to 245 pounds, is going to struggle pretty badly against a guy of Kuniev's size. Kuniev cuts down from like 300 odd pounds. Like, he is a massive, dense heavyweight, but it's not only that, it's his technical proficiency. He's very well-rounded. He's got good technical boxing, better than Hokit's. He's not as fast, but he's got that technical boxing. He's got the power, and he's got great takedown defense. He stuffed like 13 of Curtis Blaydes' takedowns and completely stuffed Jailton Almeida as well and beat him. So he's a guy that's got that clean boxing that can threat on the feet. He's a guy that just really won't allow the ground game threat. He shows a lot of urgency with his sprawls. And I think against that Jailton Almeida fight, he just solidified, to me, with that urgency of the sprawling capabilities. He's a nightmare matchup for a guy stylistically that is Josh Hokit. And I think that without Josh Hokit getting Rizvan Kuniev down round after round, especially with the strength, I think Kuniev can borderline bully him. I think he can throw him around. I think he can really tag him up with the boxing. And I will actually be surprised if Josh Hokit made it out of there, to be honest. I think Rizvan Kuniev will probably get a second or third round finish in that by a KO, TKO. He's got the tools and he's got the answers there. Serghei Spivac now in at 6. Serghei Spivac, definitely tricky because he competes well on the ground and especially in clinch-based exchanges because he's got the judo base. And I will say on the feet, he's definitely improved. Like, he was able to literally beat Ante Delija on the feet competitively round after round, especially with his jab. And he's a guy that's got a longer reach than Hokit, which I think Hokit will struggle with. But the thing that I don't like is, for Spivac, the aggressiveness of Josh Hokit overall, just plundering forward on the front foot and just absolutely gunning at him. Because, yes, Spivac is very good on the front foot when he is, dictating the pace with his jab and then finding that clinch-based exchange that he prefers and then just hip-tossing him and throwing him down and then controlling him on the ground and getting ground and pound. That is really Spivac's game, or finding a submission. But I just don't think that Spivac is going to be able to find those tools there against a guy like Josh Hokit, who is very, very good with his movement along the outside defensively, where I think it's going to be hard for a guy that is as ploddy as Spivac to really catch him in the clinch. And then also being pressed on the back foot, he just doesn't perform. Like, he really doesn't perform well. We've seen that time and time and time again in the matchups that he's lost. I mean, we've seen that with Waldo Cortes-Acosta. We've seen that with Ciryl Gane. He just does not do well. And that's where I think Serghei Spivac, honestly, I want to put it in like a moderate favorite, but I genuinely can't, because if Spivac is able to get on the front foot and utilize his judo, and especially just on the ground in general, I do honestly think on the ground specifically, Spivac is better than Hokit. He's got more of a submission threat as well, but on the feet, I think getting pressed and Hokit's natural style, I think that he does give him some problems. So it really just depends where it goes. It's a very, very tricky matchup to call, but I could understand if you guys would want it in moderate favorite, but very, very close fight. So I'm going to leave it in evenly matched. Now, Waldo Cortes-Acosta. Acosta is just kind of a bitch for anyone, to be honest. This guy is very tricky honestly entertaining as fuck. He's super active, love him, but he is a guy that, firstly, most importantly, unlike a lot of guys on this list, can match the speed of Josh Hokit. And when it comes to his volume and his tools, he can definitely effectively work on the outside defensively and counter-strike effectively, which Hokit has never had to deal with before. And that's where I've got to put him as a tough matchup. He's not a nightmare matchup just because Waldo doesn't really utilize a ground game, and Hokit is a better wrestler than him overall. Because Waldo Cortes-Acosta realistically is only used as wrestling against like Robles to Spain. Aside from that, he hasn't really utilized it. And Josh Hokit has that background. So on the feet, Waldo Cortes-Acosta, I think, does tee him up, to be honest. He is just as fast, if not faster, and has more technical abilities, is a lot heavier. He's not more athletic, but for his size, very athletic, very dangerous. And I think he stops the takedowns of Josh Hokit, and I really see him just teeing off on the feet. The key is to nullify Josh Hokit's wrestling and then just tee off on him on the feet. That's literally how you beat him at this point. And Waldo Cortes-Acosta is definitely a guy that can do that. Now, Curtis Blaydes, the matchup we are actually going to see at UFC 327, which Rizvan Kuniev had the same treatment and didn't get through Curtis Blaydes. Now, what's going to happen in this matchup? Well, Curtis Blaydes, the guy has taken damage. I mean, he's lost all of his fights, his losses by KO, and he is getting older. He's definitely getting older, but man, the experience contrast in combination with Blaydes' offensive and defensive wrestling will definitely give Josh Hokit issues. And Josh Hokit being a lot smaller here, yes, he's faster, and I think he can tag Curtis Blaydes. I think he can even take Curtis Blaydes down, but I just really think, for me, the Kuniev win for Curtis Blaydes really just pushes him for me, and I think Curtis Blaydes just has that power in his hands. He's someone that's not afraid of the wrestling game in general, and I think Josh Hokit would actually beat Curtis Blaydes in the first round on volume and just overall speed, and has the best chance of actually taking Curtis Blaydes out in the first round. I definitely think that's possible, but the later the fight goes, Curtis Blaydes with that experience, yes, Josh Hokit has the cardio, but Curtis Blaydes is going to be stuffing takedowns. He's going to be landing clean shots. He's going to get his reads. We've seen that fight after fight after fight with Curtis Blaydes, and that's where I'm going to have him as a tough matchup, and I think he would take it by a 29-28 or possibly a late TKO. There's an early prediction for you, but yeah, I just think Curtis Blaydes stylistically, I think he just nullifies the best parts of Josh Hokit's game, and it's one of the worst matchups Josh Hokit can take in terms of a matchup similar to Rizvan Kuniev, and I just ultimately think it's too early for him at this stage of competition, and that's where we're going to really have a reoccurring theme here, because Sergei Pavlovich, this guy's a nightmare matchup for Josh Hokit, man. Like, pretty much the same as Rizvan Kuniev. He's just so much bigger. He's got great takedown defense as well. He's better technically with his boxing. He's got a way bigger reach, like 7 odd inches, 8 odd inches of reach advantage. And Hokit just doesn't have any real big advantages there. I don't see him being able to take a guy like Pavlovich down. Pavlovich, like, it's basically never been taken down. And, I mean, I can't. That's what I'm saying. I'm not being biased here. Josh Hokit gets chinned. He gets chinned in this matchup. Pavlovich nullifies the wrestling, and he has got that power that will just absolutely decimate you. So, yeah, Josh Hokit, don't take that fight, at least now. Now, Volkov, still a tricky customer. Hokit, or Hokit, however you want to say it, definitely has the capabilities of outworking Volkov on the ground, which we have seen before. But Volkov, in recent times, especially the Volkov that he is now, the guy has so much experience. He has got great timing on his striking. He's able to beat guys like Pavlovich, arguably beat Ciryl Gane as well, and he's got so much length over Josh Hokit, like ridiculous amount. He's got so much size on him. Obviously, Hokit's faster. If he can close the distance, so he can do some damage to Volkov, but Volkov defensively and his distance management recently has just been top tier. It's honestly been so impressive, and I think Josh Hokit in the first round, similar to Curtis Blaydes, I think when it comes to the speed difference, Josh Hokit can cause some problems, but if he's not knocking Volkov out when it comes to the second and third round, Volkov doesn't have any cardio issues. Yeah, Volkov is going to be a tough matchup, a very tough matchup. I think Volkov just picks him apart in round 2 and round 3 and potentially takes him out. Now, Ciryl Gane, pretty much the exact same as Volkov, to be honest. Tough matchup. I mean, Gane is so much bigger. He is stronger. He's way more technical, and I think he would just beat the brakes off of Hokit with the jab, but Hokit does have the benefit of the doubt with the ground game that he can exercise, and if he can exercise it immediately, he definitely has that chance there. But aside from that, I think Ciryl Gane really tees off on him, and that's kind of hard to argue against, in my opinion. Now, you see Alex Pereira here on the screen, and I had to add him. I mean, he's moving up to heavyweight now, as we know, but he is, I mean, very much the same as Volkov and Gane, very similar. I mean, the striking is just a massive contrast. Now, Pereira's speed, though, that translation up to heavyweight is definitely up in the air, and the ground game advantage does go to Hokit, but when it comes to Pereira's just ability on the feet defensively with his distance management and his experience, his power as a counter striker, it's just way too much to deal with, and I don't think Hokit's going to be able to take him down. I mean, he's got that chance there. I'm really close to a nightmare matchup, but I think I am just going to put it in tough matchup. I mean, but all these guys kind of string the same pattern, to be honest. And yeah, stylistically, it's close as hell to a nightmare matchup. But if Hokit can really just drive through and get that takedown, then he can do some damage to Pereira on the ground without a doubt. So that's something that we do have to take into account. And obviously the unknowns of Pereira at heavyweight. We don't know how he's going to perform. Now, last and definitely not least against Josh Hokit is Tom Aspinall. Yeah, the guy's a fucking nightmare matchup, man. I mean, he would fucking clean Josh Hokit up. Like, he's literally better than Josh Hokit in every single department except, like, actual takedown offense, you could say. But he's just so much bigger. He's probably, honestly, faster anyway, even though he weighs, like, 30 pounds more. Tom Aspinall finishes him pretty quick. The experience is just not even close. Like, it ends on a sour note, but that's just how it goes going up the card. So ultimately, you can see it's fairly balanced here. I think that Hokit, look, he's a guy that is definitely entertaining. He's got the personality there, but he also backs up his controversial personality with the urgency to finish his fights. That's why he is entertaining, and I understand why the UFC are really pushing him now. And ultimately, even though it's great there, I think it is just too early in his career for him to compete with anyone in the top 5. And look, he does have the chance to beat Curtis Blaydes, but I am going to be edging it to Curtis Blaydes in that fight. Still very competitive. I think he is a very, very good fighter. 28 years old, still a lot of time on the clock, especially at heavyweight. But I think pushing him up too quickly like this, we can see him become a pretty badly derailed hype train if he starts getting knocked out. But if he can play it safely enough, with enough time moving into his 30s, he will be a well-rounded force, in my opinion. But personally, ultimately, at the end of the day, I think his best work would actually be done at 205 pounds, which he can definitely cut down to. 205 pounds has no fucking wrestlers. He could really do some damage in that weight class. So I think he should cut down to there. But at heavyweight, I think he would make a pretty solid top 10 fighter at this point in time. I really hope you guys enjoyed this Fighter Spotlight tier list video. Please let me know down below what you guys think of Josh Hokit and coming into the heavyweight division. And also let me know what you guys would change on this tier list as well. Always love chatting to you guys in the comments, and I'd love to see how you guys would change this up. And if you haven't already, just definitely check out the video here on the screen. And please do like, comment, subscribe. It goes a long way for the channel. And I hope to catch you in the next one.